Okay, so we've sort of brought this up, like the parents that hover too much over their kids while they're dating.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like, I guess my first question is, what have you seen that's too far, and what would you say to those parents, and what's the deal?
Yeah. Well, I think like, so, all right. I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and like one of the things that like for her is like, so like they're going to youth camp here, and she was like, and I'm one of the individuals that's helping lead and
Mm-hmm.
and so I've got to be there at least for some of the parts, and especially like the evening services and that kind of stuff. And I was talking about being there like all throughout the day when they're doing all their activities, and the zip line, the rock climbing wall, and all that stuff. And she was like, "Dad, can you please not come during the day?" And I was like, "But why?" And she was like, "You hover. You hover." And I'm like, "I don't hover." Like I was like arguing with her about it. I don't hover. And she's like, "Yes, you do, Dad. You're always hovering, and then you're asking like, are you okay? Everything all right? What's going on?" And I'm like, do I do that? I guess I do that. And so we're like, my boys, they were like, "Yeah, Dad, come on, no problem." Da da da. At least from my daughter's perspective, yeah, that's yeah. So apparently I'm one of those hovering parents. Maybe not in the dating part, but at least in her mind, I hover.
Okay.
So and so I think we all as parents, probably kind of what I'm getting to. I think as parents, we probably all have a tendency to do that to some degree because we want our kids to be okay,
Mm-hmm.
and we want them to be all right. But I think the extreme of that is like that they can never like go on a date or court or whatever, right? However
Mm-hmm.
they want to phrase it, outside of our supervision.
Right.
Right. Like it has to be like the parent always has to be there.
Right.
Right. If there's anyone of the opposite sex there, parent has to be there. And I think that's probably that is like the extreme nature of it.
Okay.
And I've had conversations with parents that's their perspective.
But like, to me, it can get more extreme where like go write a list of everything you like about the person and don't like about the person, and let's go through the list. And,
Okay, like you're doing your pros and cons.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
And just weird stuff, like just too involved. Like, is that too involved, or am I?
Why do you think that's too involved?
Because it's too involved.
Okay. I don't actually disagree with you.
Okay.
Like, I do think, so let me say this. I do think that as parents, it is probably good for us to ask our kids, like, hey, like when you, or I say kids, when, your teenager, your young adult child, whatever it may be, like, okay, as a parent, is it, have you thought about the type of person you'd like to, that you would like to be with, or those kind of things, like in a generic kind of way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that when you're sitting down, pros and cons. I mean, I think it's okay, like if the kid wants to do that with you, But I think if you're kind of, I think what we're trying to get to is like being so overly involved in their relationship. I mean, the reality is, especially if we're talking about teenagers, the reality is, well, why do I like them? Well, I find them attractive, and I think they're funny, or we have a good time together, or whatever, right? Like
we like the same songs.
Right. I mean, it's typically that kind of stuff. And so I don't know if the pros and cons list is really going to help
like
matters
the
out.
same one song that's on the Christian radio.
Right.
All day.
It plays over and
over again.
Right. I do think, by the way, that most of those songs, just even if they're different titled, written by different people, like they're pretty much the same song.
They're the same song.
It's the exact same.
Yeah.
It's awful. Anyway.
We have a lot in common.
We sure do.
Yeah.
All right. So, I do think that could be like, okay, so sure, that could kind of like be like overkill if you're like overly involved with that. But I think for a lot of people, like for young people in particular, I don't know if they actually can figure that out. Like, in other words, they probably don't know what they like or don't like until they've gone through some dating relationships.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would even kind of create this mythical list without having something to work from, like.
Okay, so where's the limit in your mind
of how involved?
Yeah. Like because it could go from here's condoms and birth control, go do whatever, here's the car keys.
Right.
Or to they need to be sitting at our house every time, and we're going to be here, and we're going to sit there and ask you questions about each other.
Right. It makes everybody feel super awkward.
And provide a how was your experience pamphlet that you need to fill out at the end of it. And we're going to compile those, and at the end of a month, we're going to go through everything, and yeah,
we'll make the determination if this is okay
and
or
ultimately, we decide whether you get married or not. Like, I'm joking, but that's sort of like
it can get there.
It can get to that point.
Yeah.
So where do you see the line?
Okay, well, I don't know if there's like this like hard fast rule like of a line. I think it's, as a parent, like I can't speak for other parents really. As a parent, like I want to do my best with helping our children navigate these things. But I think that there is the sense of, I do want to find a sense of like, okay, I want that, like, yes, I want to get to know the person that they're dating, right? Like if they're dating somebody, I do want to be around them. I want them to be around us, because I do want to kind of see, to a degree of who is this person, and, how are they, like how are they treating, like they're dating my daughter, how are they treating my daughter? And like for my sons, like to make sure my sons are treating this individual well, they're dating, and so I think that there's that, I do want to be involved in that sense. But I think if we're so overly, I think that's where the line for me is, like, I have to think about what's going to happen if they're dating outside the context of living in our home. Like, have I prepared them for that?
Okay.
Or is everything that I'm doing in dating or courting, whatever the word you want to use, is everything I'm doing only conducive for what it's going to be like if they're here in the house? And
right.
we mentioned this before, but for me, that's like, I guess, quote unquote, a line. Like, in other words, like if they're dating outside, they're not living with us, they're off at college, or they've gotten a job in another town, they're not living with us. Have I prepared them to date, in that setting? And I have to ask myself, is everything I'm doing as a parent, like, yes, I want to check in on the child, like how, my child, like, how are you doing? How is this going? Are they treating you well? That's kind of the questions I want to know. Like, are they treating you well? Are they kind to you? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel safe? Do you ever feel like belittled or put down? Or, like, those are kind of the questions I want to ask. But at the same time, I don't want to be like, so kind of walk me through every single moment of the date. Like, I don't need to hear every single moment of the date,
So have you told parents before that they're going too far in this? Like, have you had to deal with that before?
Yeah, I have had parents.
And what were they doing? What happened?
No, well, so yeah, I've had parents. I bring this book up again because it was just a big thing. But the I Kissed Dating Goodbye book, and the way it was set up, the way the courting thing was set up, I have had parents kind of like adhere to that book. Like, that's what they're reading as their like field manual, like as their guide to how I should parent my child through this.
I guess I got to read this book.
Yeah, you read it and burn it. That's kind of what I did. Not kind of what I did.
Is it worth money now?
It's
Are they like hard to find?
No. It's actually the only book I've ever burned.
You burned it?
I did. So we were in our campus ministry, and we were collecting books to send to, I don't even remember where we were sending the books to.
Hitler burned books.
I know. Well, not every book burning is bad. There's examples of Christians burning books in the book of Acts, for example. In the book of Acts, like it's recorded, its story is recorded.
Oh,
that
they burned books?
That they were burning. Yeah, but now, of course, it was books with like magic spells and that kind of stuff in it.
Did they have books back then? I thought everything was on scrolls.
Yeah, well, okay, kind of. Yes, think of it as scrolls.
Okay.
Yes.
Or tablets.
Or letter. Like I say books. Like letters, kind of things. But yeah, I mean, and did they have compilations of things? Yes.
Okay.
So no, it wasn't like, and it wasn't even tablets, right? I mean, we'll say scrolls, and so. But so the campus ministry, we were gathering books, and we were giving it to some ministry or sending it to somebody anyway. So we, as the interns, had to go through the books to like vet the books that we were sending out, and then we found the I Kissed Dating Goodbye book And yeah, it was during the winter. There was a fire going on. We had a fireplace at the campus ministry, and I just took it and chunked it in there and burned it.
So it was casual.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. You needed to do that for warmth.
100%.
Right.
I need to keep that fire going.
Okay.
Yes. And so, no, but I think but what I was talking to the parents, I was like, do you realize who wrote the book? Like, the book was written by a young adult who has had no dating experience, much less parenting experience of a child dating.
Right.
And I was like, this is not really actually who you want to derive your information from, you know? And so because I think the problem with it again is if they're using that kind of model, they're like, again, you know, our daughter's going to date, they're not going to court, or our son's going to date, he's not going to, you know, or court, he's not going to date. Then everything has to happen under their roof or under the other parent's roof of the person they're dating. And like, it has to happen there. And
the other parents suck. So it has to be at your house all the time.
Well, and that can become part of it, right?
Yep.
Like if you're concerned that the other parents don't have the same kind of rules or boundaries that you would have. And then it's like then your child's under a microscope. And I think that's kind of crossing a line for me too, because again, if you're wanting, and you mentioned this before, like if you're wanting them to actually get to know each other, it's not going to happen with mom and dad staring at them.
No.
I mean, that's just not going to happen. Like,
no, that's why I don't get any of this.
Okay.
That's kind of like.
So, and that's why I said that I would like to sit down, have dinner, or have, you know, like lunch or whatever with if someone's going to come over and date my daughter, like I want to actually meet the person.
And bring your shotgun with you.
Well, yeah, but it's in my house all the time anyway.
Yeah,
so I mean, whatever. All right, so yeah, but I think that
it just happens to be in the corner right there
just
while
right
we're having
there.
dinner.
Yeah, I mean, it's just actually I could put guns in all the different rooms that we walk through. So
yeah,
my brother had that situation happen, but it wasn't guns; it was knives, and the dad had put knives out, and like when my brother walked in to say hello to him, he was sitting there in his chair just sharpening a knife. And so my brother was like 14. he was terrified. And so, but you know, so I do want to get to know the person.
Your dad has a small penis, right?
Okay. Anyways,
seems to be overcompensating.
All right. Well, I don't know about all that. All right. But so yes, I'd like to get to know the person, but then I'm also like, but I understand that they're going to go out and do things with friends. They're going to go have lunch. They're going to go have coffee. Like I know, that's going to be part of it. Again, it's more of trying to provide guidance for me as a parent, for my children, of going, okay, hey, we want you to make sure you're dating in safe places, in smart places, and you know, like be wise, you know, with where you are, and with who you're with, and what you're doing. But I do think that can kind of, I guess, if that's the line for me, like if it always has to be under your roof, under your supervision, yes, nothing is going to happen physically or sexually or anything else, but they're also not going to really get to know you to know each other, you know? And so, and I think that's kind of a big part of it. Like you do have to kind of date, I think, or at least be around the opposite sex enough to know this kind of person I thought I was interested in, but then you're around them for a few months and you're like, nope, not that, you know? Or even like, you know, because you may get along really well with someone, even like in a big social gatherings, right? Like you may really connect in that world, but you don't connect as well, you know, when you're just by yourselves individually having lunch or whatever, right? Like, or going to a game or playing putt-putt or whatever. Like you may just not interact as well in that environment.
Trying to come up with anything except for saying Starbucks again, aren't you?
Maybe. I'm never going to say it again in my life.